Okay, once again let us start. So here, so actually the photosynthetic bacteria are live in the anaerobic zone. They live in the anaerobic zones of many aquatic bodies. That is already told you, in the mud and in the stagnant water, in shallow ponds, slowly flowing water, lakes, and estuaries. The purple sulfur bacteria occur as salmon. They occur as salmon. 1 minute, 3 persons are waiting here. Go on. అక్కడ ఛార్జింగ్ పెట్టినారు ఇది చెప్పు. Okay. So the purple sulfur bacteria occur as salmon colored to dark burgundy cover on mud and decomposing plant material. It may occur అంటే బురదలోనూ ఉంటాయి, ప్లస్ ఈ డికేయింగ్ కుళ్ళిపోతున్నటువంటి చెట్ల మీద కూడాను ఉంటాయి. And the photoautotrophic bacteria are of the following type: green sulfur bacteria, and they are Chlorobiaceae, Chloroflexaceae, and Helobacteriaceae. These photoautotrophic bacteria belongs to this one. That is, the examples of the bacteria are the Chlorobium, Chlorochromatium, and the Prostochlorales, Prostochlorales, and Chloroflexus, and Helobacteria. Helobacteria. These are the examples of the photoautotrophic, especially green sulfur bacteria. And whereas the purple sulfur bacteria are the Chromatiaceae, they are belong to the bacterial family Chromatiaceae, and Chromatium and Thiospirilla, Chromatium and Thiospirilla, Chromatium and Thiospirilla, and purple non-sulfur bacteria, and they are Rhodospiralaceae members. They are the Rhodospiralaceae members, and they bear bacteriochlorophyll. They bear bacteriochlorophyll. And then, so apart from the video has gone, connecting to video, and chemosynthetic bacteria. Actually, autotrophic bacteria are two types. One is photoautotrophic and or photosynthetic, and the second type are chemosynthetic bacteria. Chemosynthetic bacteria are non-photosynthetic. They are the non-photosynthetic bacteria, and they are autotrophs. Nitrifying bacteria, they are also known to be nitrifying bacteria, which lack pigment. So it is clear that photoautotrophic bacteria or photosynthetic bacteria, they bear pigment, photosynthetic pigment, whereas chemosynthetic bacteria, they are lack of pigment, and that's why they derive their food by chemical, inorganic chemical. They are known to be chemosynthetic bacteria. They get energy for food synthesis by the oxidation of certain inorganic substances. By the oxidation of some of the inorganic substances such as ammonia, nitrite, ferrous iron, etc. They oxidize the iron, they oxidize the ammonia, and they oxidize the nitrite to derive their food. Okay, these two are the chemosynthetic, the photoautotrophic bacteria, that is photoautotrophic and chemoautotrophic. And these chemosynthetic bacteria also, again, they are sulfur bacteria, iron bacteria, and nitrifying bacteria. So sulfur bacteria, these bacteria occur in sulfur containing terrestrial and aquatic environment. The sulfur bacteria, the sulfur chemosynthetic bacteria are present in normally sulfur containing terrestrial and aquatic environment. They derive energy by oxidation of reduced sulfur compound. Reduced sulfur compound. The filamentous sulfur bacterium, Bagiota. Bagiota is, so we usually know that Bagiota oxidizes hydrogen sulfide to elemental sulfur. The Bagiota bacterium oxidizes hydrogen sulfide to elemental sulfur. And another sulfur bacterium is Thiobacillus thioxidans. And it is a gram-negative bacterium with polar flagella. It utilizes free sulfur and produces sulfuric acid. It utilizes the free sulfur in the nature and produces sulfuric acid. It is specially adapted to grow at low pH. One minute, one candidate is admitting. Okay. So it is assumed that the electrons obtained in the oxidation of sulfide to sulfate enter the respiratory chain at the level of cytochrome C and take part in the ATP synthesis. That is, ATP is the energy resource known to be adenosine triphosphate. This is called substrate level photophosphorylation. The formation of the oxidation of sulfide to sulfate, where it provides or recommends the formation of ATP due to the oxidation, it is known to be substrate level phosphorylation. In respiration, we come across this one in the plant physiology. Then iron bacteria. These bacteria oxidizes ferrous compounds to the ferric form. And the energy released in this process is utilized in the synthesis of organic compounds. And the important iron bacteria are Thiobacillus ferrooxidans, and Leptotrix bacterium are the, and Gallionella are the important the iron bacteria. And then hydrogen bacteria. Many species of chemoautotrophic bacteria have the ability to grow with molecular hydrogen. They are having the capacity to grow in molecular hydrogen. They oxidize molecular hydrogen, and in this process water and energy are obtained. The common hydrogen oxidizing bacteria are Pseudomonas saccharophila and Pseudomonas facilis, Alcaligens eutroph, and Alcalins paradoxus, that is gram-negative one, and Nocardia apaca, and Mycobacterium gram-positive bacteria. And then another important chemosynthetic bacteria are nitrifying bacteria. These are soil-borne obligate autotrophs. The nitrifying bacteria are the soil-borne obligate autotrophic bacteria. They oxidize ammonia to nitrate and play an important role in the nitrogen cycle. You may better know about the nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen cycle. So these nitrifying bacteria, they play a very important role in the cycling of nitrogen, that is the N2, the dinitrogen, from the atmosphere to the earth, and from the earth to the atmosphere. That is called nitrogen cycle. Okay, and this nitrogen cycle, they play a very important role. The conversion of ammonia to nitrate is known to be nitrification. The conversion of ammonia to nitrate is known as nitrification. This process occurs in two steps. Each step is carried out by a very specialized group of bacteria. That is, the ammonia by means of nitrosomonas bacteria and converted into nitrate. And this nitrate by means of nitrobacter into nitrite. Ammonia by means of, with the help of, or with the by means of nitrosomonas bacteria into nitrate, and these nitrates by means of nitrobacter into nitrite. The nitrifiers are gram-negative bacteria that are collectively placed in the family Nitrobacteriaceae. They are collectively placed in Nitrobacteriaceae. And then coming to heterotrophic bacteria. The heterotrophs or the heterotrophic bacteria are a group of bacteria, microorganisms, yeast, molds, and bacteria. The heterotrophic group contains, and it consists of, or it includes, yeast, molds, and bacteria that use organic carbon as food, as opposed to autotrophs like algae that use sunlight and are found in every type of water detecting heterotrophs. And they are in water is done by using a method called heterotrophic plate count. Heterotrophic plate count. Their count will be in every water we can observe the presence of heterotrophic bacteria. And in these heterotrophic bacteria, they can utilize carbon dioxide as a sole source of carbon. The heterotrophic bacteria, they make use of carbon dioxide as the whole and sole source of carbon, and require organic compounds for their main carbon source. Depending upon the source of energy, these bacteria are divisible into photoheterotroph or photoorganotroph. They are also known to be photoorganotroph, and chemoheterotroph. The parasite, saprophyte, symbiotic bacteria. So the photoheterotroph, these, they obtain energy from the sunlight, but carbon is derived from the organic compound. See, the photoorganotroph or photoheterotroph, they derive energy from the sunlight and the carbon from the organic compound. The examples for this bacteria are Chloroflexus, Helicobacter, and Chlorobium. And whereas chemoheterotroph, they are also called as chemoorganotroph, and they derive both carbon and energy from the organic compound. And examples are the chemoheterotrophs are parasitic bacteria and saprophytic bacteria and symbiotic bacteria. And here, what are the saprophytic bacteria? The bacteria which feed on dead and decaying material of the plants and animals, or which feed on dead and decaying material of the organisms, are known to be saprophytes. They grow in dead, decaying organic material only and live by digesting and absorbing them. In the course of obtaining food for themselves, the saprophytic bacteria gradually break down the complex organic compounds into simpler products. The complex organic compounds into simpler products. See, imagine that a dog is dead and just it is laid out on the side by the road. And what happens? So for some days it collapses, its body will collapse, and a bad odor will come out, and the body of the dog will be just it is gradually decreasing in its size, and finally it mixes up with the soil. That means that the complex organic compound by the activity of these microorganisms, say bacteria, saprophytic bacteria, it will be the complex organic compounds will be break down into simpler substances. Simpler breakdown of carbohydrates is called fermentation. Actually, this is a fermentation. This they do by secreting enzymes. How these bacteria are converting the complex organic compounds into simpler ones by releasing some of the enzymes which can break down the organic compound. And this process, in other words, is also called as fermentation. The word fermentation comes from a Latin word meaning to boil. It refers to bubbling due to the carbon dioxide given off. Usually, in our home, we used to make dosa or idli or vada. So normally one day not vada, idli and dosa. So the total atta will be prepared, the mixture will be prepared one day before and kept aside. And the next day morning, if you observe it, it gives out the bubbles. That is, the anaerobic respiration will be occurred, and the process is happening. That is called fermentation. That is known to be fermentation. So, in the same manner, there, in other words, you can say in the fermentation may be observed in grapes and some of the fruits. And here, in fruits, we observe some sweet smell, that is alcoholic smell. That is called the resultant of the fermentation where ethyl alcohol is formed. So the fermentation of sugar by yeast is the classic example. Certain species of bacteria are able to ferment glucose and galactose. Lactic acid fermentation is principally carried out by the bacteria, lactobacillus. And putrefaction, what is meant by putrefaction? 1 minute. Putrefaction. Somebody is waiting. Let me see. Okay. So various species of bacteria are principally concerned in the decomposition of proteins into simpler compounds. The earlier stages in the protein putrefaction takes place in the absence of oxygen. That is, they are known to be anaerobic bacteria. The bacteria which undergoes respiration, they are known to be anaerobic respiration and anaerobic bacteria. They are brought about by an enzyme produced by the anaerobic bacteria and concerned in the process. As a result, the complex protein compounds are reduced. They are reduced, the compound reduced. The parasitic bacteria. Normally, the parasitic bacteria they live on or within living organisms, both the plant and animal. They may be obligate parasites or they may be facultative parasites. Obligate or facultative parasites. They obtain the organic food from the host on which they are growing. not all parasitic bacteria cause disease. So normally bacteria, when they invade, they living on other hosts, usually they may cause a disease, but not all the bacteria may cause a disease. Some beneficial activities of the benefiting bacteria are also there, and some may be harmless to their host, and others cause serious deadly diseases in them. The numerous colibacteria inhabiting the intestine in man, for example, E. coli bacteria, and most other organisms are the typical examples of this kind. The respiration, like other living things, bacteria are respired. They oxidize food material. They oxidize food materials present in the cytoplasm to obtain energy. To obtain the energy. Most bacteria make use of the free oxygen of the atmosphere, that is natural oxygen, are often dissolved in the liquid environment. Dissolved in the liquid environment. They are called aerobes or aerobic bacteria. They are known to be aerobes or aerobic bacteria. And the bacteria which lives in oxygen absent climate, they are known to be anaerobes or anaerobic bacteria. Anaerobes or anaerobic bacteria. And actually, so parasitic and symbiotic, the saprophytic bacteria, and others are symbiotic bacteria. Some bacteria live in close association with other organisms. Some of the bacteria. So normally you know that what is symbiosis. Two different organisms, if they live in association with each other by reciprocal help, it is that association is known to be symbiosis. In other words, in some other adjustment is known to be mutualism. So already we observed that lichen, actually in case of lichen, algae and fungi, they live in association with each other. Likewise, some of the bacteria, they live in association with other organisms. This association is named as, this process or phenomenon is known as the symbiosis. It is called as symbiosis. Symbiosis. Okay. And these bacteria, symbiotic bacteria, may adjust with other plants or animals in such a way that both the concerned organisms, they receive mutual benefit from this association. This is called symbiosis. For example, rhizobium is the best example. The rhizobium bacterium which lives in the root nodules of the leguminous plant. The root nodules of the leguminous plant, it fixes the atmospheric nitrogen in the soil, which and makes ready available to the plant, and in turn it receives the nourishment from the plant, food materials from the plant. So this is the association. So normally in leguminous plants we may observe this. Okay. The bacterium inhabiting the intestine of man, that is E. coli, and animals are good examples of symbiotic bacterium. The enzymes secreted by these bacteria are helpful in the digestion of the cellulose and in turn obtain their food from the host. The coli bacteria which lives in the intestine of the human being and animals, they secrete enzymes which can dissolve or digest cellulose. Nothing but cellulase, and the examples are E. coli and Fusobacterium, Lactobacillus, and Clostridium. E. coli bacterium and Fusobacterium and Lactobacillus and Clostridium are the best examples of symbiotic bacterium which lives in the intestine of the human beings and the animal. They actually came to, already we discussed that regarding the respiration. Regarding the respiration, some of the bacteria, they live in oxygen environment and some live in non-oxygen environment. The bacteria which lives in oxygenated environment, they are known to be aerobes or aerobic bacterium, and which lives in anaerobic climatic conditions, that is where the non-oxygenated climatic conditions, they are known to be anaerobes or anaerobic bacteria. And these anaerobic bacteria grow in the absence of oxygen, chlorobium, clostridium. The anaerobic bacteria are the, again, are of two types: obligate anaerobes and facultative anaerobes. The obligate anaerobes grow only in the absence of oxygen. For these, oxygen is toxic. Say, for obligate anaerobic bacteria, oxygen is lethal. Oxygen is toxic to them. That's why they cannot live in the climate where oxygen is present. Example is Clostridium. The facultative anaerobe, they can grow either in the presence or absence of oxygen. Many of these bacteria are originally, for their energy supply, they are originally aerobic, but switches over to the fermentation in the absence of oxygen for their energy supply. See, dear students, in 5 minutes, our class will over. So let us meet in the tomorrow's class. Just listen for 5 minutes. And these examples for the facultative anaerobe enterobacterial. However, some lactic acid bacillus can grow in the presence of oxygen. That is, they are aerotolerant. They are known to be oxygen tolerating bacterium. Okay. So in the next one, let us go for introduction in bacteria. So let us stop here.